Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Richard Carlise. This is my channel, Real Richard, and this is the Talk Reel.
Talk real, talk real, talk real, talk real, talk real, talk real, talk real. What's on my mind? Take a listen if you're feeling inclined. What's in my mind? See the vision and it's simply divine. Take the time to recline at simplicity's highness. Do what I want cause you ain't by your highness. Talk real, talk real, talk real, talk real, talk real, talk real, talk real.
All right, first and foremost, you must be wondering, why is he wearing this entire ensemble with a sweatshirt and a jacket and all that kind of stuff? Well, the reason is very simple. I live and have always lived in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm an Arizonian, a Phoenician through and through, and it's like 60 degrees today, so I'm cold. The second thing I want to address is this thing right here. I'm using this so it's just easier for you to hear me. This is probably one of the cheapest microphones you could possibly buy, and I noticed in the last podcast when I would say a P word, it would just explode almost. It was clipping so bad. So I am going to probably be purchasing a lavalier or a lapel mic to give me good audio, and I won't have to hold this stupid thing anymore. And can we hold on a second? Lavalier or lapel, are they the same thing? And if they are the same thing, why are we calling that two different things? Can we just pick one word? Why do we have to? It's a lavalier, lapel, how many words do you need to describe a mic that gets clipped to your shirt? They probably are two different things, and I'm getting upset about something that I know nothing about, which is pretty on par for the type of person that I am, is I get upset before I have any of the information. And then once I get the information, I'm like, okay, I was wrong about that. I'm pretty sure that today's episode's going to be short. Whenever I say that, I'm always incorrect, but I think that I could probably get through this one rather quickly. The topic that I want to discuss today is something that was incredibly, excruciatingly painful for me to go through when I was going through it, and it wasn't happening to me specifically, it was happening to my middle child, Joon. And it was dealing with the public school system as it relates to getting her some assistance with her learning challenges. Just a bit of a backstory. My daughter Joon was raised in almost the exact same way that my first child was. Surrounded by family, lots of books and reading. Not that education was shoved down anybody's throat. It was just, a pretty standard upbringing as far as books being around. There was reading happening. We were, having like the normal experience with Joon, bringing her up around the basic learning stuff. The stuff that she's going to be dealing with when she gets into kindergarten is basically, her preschool did a good job at doing basic writing and learning the alphabet. And I knew very early on that Joon was struggling with those basic learning things. So the alphabet, writing the alphabet, reading the alphabet, when it came to like basic math, 1 + 1 equals, for her it was 12, all the time. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. What I am saying is that it was troubling because I knew she was going to be going to kindergarten. I was worried that she was going to fall behind. I mean, I sensed this very early on, and all the family that was around her sort of sensed it early on. We get to kindergarten, we notice that she's not picking up on those very basic things. Just like I had feared. She was unable to read basic words. You could say, what letter is this? She'd have no clue. What number is this? She'd have no clue. I'd be like, what letter is this? It'd be the letter B, and she would tell me 6. In the moment, you kind of have a laugh, and you don't make her feel bad about it. You just get through that moment, and, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, man, this is going to be a struggle. I had no idea how to handle that kind of thing. I was really hopeful that the school that Joon was attending at the time was going to help that process. So almost immediately, the teacher saw that Joon was struggling with the same kind of challenges, and when we would have parent-teacher conferences, she would say, you know, Joon is kind of behind everybody else, but it's fine, and she was very encouraging about that. And actually, Joon's kindergarten teacher was incredible. She was very gentle and sweet. You know, this was where the beginning of the problem was, so I wasn't as scared yet. But to keep the story moving, that was just the beginning. I hate that I always have to explain this to people, but this is my experience. I'm not saying this happens at every single school. I'm not saying this happens to every single parent. What I'm hoping that, if anything, that anyone gets out of this is somebody who went through this same experience as me, and I can give you some tips and some tools and tell you the things that I did to the best of my ability, and maybe this will help you move forward with your situation. So basically, that was the tip of the iceberg. Children just moved to the next grade, even though they really did not meet the standard of what a kindergartner is. And there is a standard. There's like some objectives that you're supposed to hit at each grade level. And depending on what school you're at, those objectives are different. Very basic stuff that you're supposed to have learned going through kindergarten. Well, Joon didn't hit any of those marks, but they still move her on to first grade. Right, so now we're in first grade. Now, first grade is where I really saw a drastic separation between her and the rest, not even the rest of the class, because I don't know what the other class was doing. The separation between her and the curriculum. Here was her level of understanding, and here's the curriculum up here. I mean, there was a massive gap between the two. And so at that point, we started having these parent-teacher conferences outside of parent-teacher conference day. And it was to try to figure out what we're going to do to help Joon so she doesn't fall behind. Unfortunately, I can't say that those meetings ever amounted to anything. And I don't know if any of you out there have had this happen to you. You go, you make a plan. They tell you, okay, we're going to make an individual like service plan. It's like an ISP, but I think there's another letter in there. I'm not sure of the acronym. And by the way, I'm not going to remember everything. Like I said in the last podcast, I hit record. I just regurgitate what I sort of recall, and that's the best that I can do. If you have any other questions, you can comment in the comment section. If you know me, you can contact me directly. I will help you work through to the best of what I can remember and to the best of my ability. But anyways, those drafts of the personal plan would always get drafted up, and then, I'm not kidding you, nothing would happen. They were supposed to get her some this. They were supposed to do a little bit of that. We were going to have a teacher come in and give her some one-on-one time, and they were going to refer us to different things. Nothing happened. So we went through first grade. We had this plan, and nothing happened. I'm not kidding you when I tell you the counselor at her school was like, no, we're just going to deal with it next year. Don't worry. We'll get her through this year. I swear to God, this is what this woman kept saying. No, we'll get her through this year. We'll do it next year. And all the while, I'm getting more terrified and more terrified that my daughter is going to be left in the dust. She was in first grade, couldn't read any. We had progressed 0 from kindergarten to first grade. It was basically a glorified daycare, which, you know, I was working, so that's beneficial and helpful. That's the problem, is the kids going off to school is necessary for me to earn a living. Them going off to school gets them out and socializing and being a part of a community, and that whole thing is very beneficial. And so on that end, it was great. The problem is Joon had learned nothing from kindergarten to first grade. So here we are in second grade. I'm absolutely terrified. And we're having the same problem in second grade. Isn't that crazy that we would have the exact same problem? No, not at all. Because nothing happened. They took care of 0 things. And I didn't know what to do. That is why I'm doing this video. I didn't know what to do. And I was terrified, and I was at this point becoming angry because we are going into 3 years of being told that certain things were going to happen, that my kid was going to be helped. And it kept getting pushed. Okay, we're going to do it next month. Next month would come, 0 emails, zero contact. We would contact them. Oh, yeah, we're going to get to that. And they kept pushing it off. I'm thinking, why? Why are you pushing? Isn't this your job? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not your job. And if it's not your job, can you point me in the direction of a person whose job it is? Because I am not qualified to handle this situation. She's my child. I'm going to love her endlessly, and I'm going to be there for her and support her. But I don't know how to help. I don't know how to help a kid with learning challenges. So I was scared, and I didn't know what to do. And we had a parent-teacher conference when Joon was in 2nd grade. Her teacher's very sweet. She was a little bit older, very tiny little lady. And I'm sitting in that parent-teacher conference, and I'm getting a lot of the same runaround. At this point, I'm very frustrated, to the point where I wouldn't say I raised my voice, but I got very stern with this woman, and I said, listen, this is 3 years. And this teacher had only had Joon for this year. So she knew the history, but she didn't fully know the history. She didn't know how angry and upset I was going to get because this had been going on for so long. I let her know that I was not pleased with the way that this public school system had been handling this situation because I was terrified. And I was like, I don't know what to do. You guys keep telling me that you're going to do something about it, and you are doing nothing about it. Well, I made this teacher cry. I'm not proud of it, and she didn't deserve it, but it did happen. So I figured I would share that part. I mean, that's how frustrated, and the reason I'm sharing that is because that's how frustrated I was. I made a little old lady cry, but it's my daughter. And honestly, I'm going to make a little old lady cry if you're messing with my daughter. Okay, so that was this experience. All the while, my sister had been working at an alternative school. I wanted all my kids to go to this school. This is the school that I went to, that I had this amazing experience at, but the school went through some changes. I rolled with it, and I let my kids go there. Well, the same year that Joon was in 2nd grade, my other daughter went to this alternative school where my sister worked. And we were having really good experience at this school. So while Joon was in 2nd grade, I enrolled her in this other school because my sister said that they did have a program available at this other school that was a little more suited for Joon, where she could get a little bit of extra care, a little bit more personalized learning. And if she was struggling with reading, there was this reading program specific to children that were struggling. And so we put her on the list. By the end of Joon's 2nd grade year, we were at the top of the list, and we enrolled her in this school, and she was accepted. And it was a beautiful day. I didn't think that it was going to be beneficial in any way because I'd been let down so many times. But my sister and my mother and that's pretty much it. They were very adamant about getting Joon into this school, so I said, you know what? Yeah, let's go for it. I'm here. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to be different. So that was step 1 that I took, is I finally realized that we were not getting the care that we needed at this school, so we looked for other options. You can do the same thing. There are some alternative type schools in your area, no matter if you're in Phoenix, Arizona, or if you're in, Kentucky. I can only imagine. I don't know that for a fact, but I can only imagine that there are some programs and some alternative schools near you or close enough to you, and you'd be willing to drive, right? I mean, if it's your child, you're going to be willing to drive a little bit. Maybe it's not right there, but you'll drive 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get your child the education she deserves. So that was one of the things we did. We got her enrolled at an alternative school. The second thing I did is we have Access. Access, I believe, is called Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System. I don't remember. Something like that. It's basically the government insurance in the state of Arizona. I fall under that category. I have 3 kids. I'm a single dad. So I'm approved for this insurance. So through that insurance, I finally figured out that I could get a referral from her PCP to a mental health care professional facility. And I wish I could tell you all the names of these things, but I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I just want to share my story. And I don't want to name the facility that she goes to because, I mean, this is all sort of private information. But just know we were able to. So these are the steps you need to take. You talk to your healthcare provider. You get a PCP or a pediatrician. You ask the pediatrician. Basically, you go in for a checkup. Sometimes you could do it over the phone. You tell them what's going on. They can give you a referral to a mental health professional, because this all falls under the mental health category. I didn't even know. See, the thing is, we thought that Joon was dyslexic, which I believe she has a bit of that. She's not been thoroughly diagnosed dyslexic, and there's been some things I'll go into that she's sort of kind of gets herself out of the dyslexia category because she is able to understand some certain things, but she still mixes words and flips letters and all this stuff. But just like through practice, she's been able to sort of overcome a lot of those challenges. So she was never diagnosed dyslexic, but she had a lot of those dyslexic isms and qualities and stuff. So we got the referral. We set up this appointment with this facility. And so the other thing that we were struggling with was Joon's attention span and her self-worth. So that whole experience, Joon, my daughter Joon, is one of the most social people I've ever met. She can go into a room and be friends with everybody. Everybody at the school that she was at knew her. It didn't matter if they were in 8th grade or if they were in kindergarten. Everybody knew Joon, because Joon is just that kind of person. She's very sweet, she's very compassionate, she's very loving, and she's social. And sort of over time, you could see that dwindling down a little bit as she began to start to feel stupid because she couldn't do the things that the other kids in class were doing. And that was it. If you want to go back to where I was talking about that teacher that I made cry, that's where I was sort of at that. It was unacceptable at that point. Like, I couldn't turn a blind eye anymore. I'm not going to let my daughter's self-worth dwindle away and her to feel like she's stupid. She's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. She's 8 years old. She is so intuitive and smart and calculated and creative and interesting and funny. And these are all qualities that I am massaging and saying, go, babe. Go, babe. You take these into the world. We're going to get you some help with the reading. We're going to get you some help with the writing and the math. These basic things that you've got to know to make it in this world. She has all these qualities that most people don't have. You know? PCP, referral to the mental health facility. Joon had some attention issues, right? Because she didn't know what was going on, so she would find other things to do. She was ripping papers up. She was cutting her hair. She was throwing chairs. She was hiding under tables. She was doing all these things because she was just stumped at every turn. She didn't know what anyone was talking about. She couldn't read anything. A little bit of ADD, dyslexia, those kinds of things I was worried about. So, mental health facility, they were able to prescribe her a very light medication. I am not a fan of medication, never have been, never will be, but I took a breath, I listened to what the doctor said, I looked at my family, I sort of just let them help me understand why it was beneficial, and so I said, okay. So Joon has this medication. She also talks to a really sweet, I think it's a therapist. It's a child therapist. She talks every single week on Zoom to this wonderful woman who checks in with Joon, asks her how her week went. Are there any challenges? Was there any issues at school? I mean, Joon is getting helped from all angles. At the school that she now attends, she has like different spelling list. She goes to a reading class and writing class that is not like on the traditional curriculum. It's during that particular time. Joon goes into another classroom, and it's like a special classroom for her and some other students. This program is incredible. Joon could not read this year, and now she reads. She could not write, now she writes. She's doing cursive. Not only is she writing her regular letters, but now they have her doing cursive. I mean, this year was monumental. Oh, let me backtrack real quick. I had her do second grade again. She was so far behind. I had to really think about it and go, oh my gosh, I didn't want to hold my child back, but I had to make that choice. Am I going to let her go into third grade and have her, be at like a first grade or a kindergarten level? I couldn't do it. So I said, okay, when we enroll her in this new school or when we get on that waiting list, we're going to do it for second grade. My sister also works as a second grade teacher, essentially. So it would be close to my sister. I mean, it all really worked out for us. I mean, we had a lot of these things right at our fingertips, and a lot of them we didn't even know were right there. And that's what I'm hoping this video does, is not only encourages you that you don't have to just listen to what teachers are telling you and counselors at the school are telling you. You can actually take a lot of this into your own hands. You don't have to wait for anybody. You don't have to wait for an ISP. You don't have to wait for any of that stuff. You talk to your doctor. And this was through Access Insurance, which is the government insurance. So whatever government insurance is in your city, you can follow the same process. And if you are not in the bracket, you pay for your own insurance, the same thing applies. You go to your pediatrician, you tell them what's going on, they refer you to a mental health care professional and a facility, and you can go through the same process. We are not out of the woods yet. Joon is still experiencing some challenges, some behavioral stuff. She's not quite up to the level, but she's close, man. And the progress that she made this year, she made 3 years worth of progress in not even a full school year. This kid has worked hard, and I am so proud of her, and I am proud of my sister, and I'm proud of my mother, and I'm proud of what I was able to do as well. This was a 3-year-long awful experience. But there are some resources available to you. And I want you to know that you are not alone. And I know I say this kind of stuff all the time, but it is important that you know that you are not going through this silently, quietly, all by yourself. There's probably somebody on the block that you live on that is going through the same thing, and they're embarrassed. They don't know what to do. Make the first step. Call your pediatrician. Tell them what's going on. Say, the school is not helping me at all. And if your pediatrician's, no, the school will get a new pediatrician. Stop taking everybody's bullshit as law and that's the answer. That's what I did for 3 years. I listened. No, we'll do it next year. Oh, we'll get to it. No, she's fine. No, she's not fine. She's not fine. Why is she cutting her hair? Why is she ripping up her homework? Why does she come home and tell me that she thinks she's stupid and that everyone makes fun of her? How is that fine? You don't know. You're not there, Kathy. So anyways, I hope that wasn't too down in the dumps. That's really not what I was trying to do. I'm really offering some help here. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I have a couple of friends that are going through this with their kid right now, and I'm trying to support them the best I can. Just telling them the same thing I'm telling you guys right now. There's stuff out there. There's resources out there. We don't have to sit back and allow the system to let our kids fall behind. That is exactly what happened. I really hope that this isn't happening to you. I really hope you had an incredible experience. You had a school that was incredibly involved and helpful. But if you're like thousands of us that didn't get that kind of help, I hope this helped you even a little bit. Maybe it doesn't help you with your situation exactly, but maybe it just makes you feel a little bit more comforted. I don't know. So that's really it. That's all I really wanted to share. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I would love if you keep coming back and hanging out with me, and we can continue to have a little bit of a conversation in our community. Next podcast is probably going to be silly. Probably going to tell a story about something that happened to me. Not that this isn't a story that happened to me. But the first two podcasts just kind of happened this way. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Richard Carlise. This is The Talk Real. I'll see y'all next time.